water. That way I'll get my Christmas bonus. That way my company's profitability goes up. And that was what I'm absolutely convinced happened. And I can speak from experience. When I took my State Farm adjuster, walked him a couple hundred yards from where my house used to be, showed them what I knew to be my roof, walked back and said, okay, what are you going to tell me? And she says, I see no evidence of wind damage. It was right, the roof's 100 yards from where it should have been. Sees no evidence of wind damage. Well, how did? And I said, well, miss, by the way, I will gladly take a piece of this tin, throw it in the Bay of St. Louis, and let's see if it floats. Because I can assure you that tin did not float there. So what we're trying to do is change that. The insurance industry is lined up against me individually, against anyone who voted for that bill. It's going to be a fight because they got it their way right now. They pull in the profits, make the government pay the bill, and it's going to be a fight to change that situation. Interestingly enough, half of all Americans live in coastal America. 52% of all Americans live within 50 miles of the coast. So this isn't just us. I think the difference is we got whacked harder than anybody else. And so it's the difference of somebody trying to rebuild a house, get a mortgage, come up with a set of plans, and pay that insurance note, as opposed to the rest of the country where they just got to pay the insurance note on a house that's already there. And that's why I fear that we don't see the sense of urgency from the rest of America on this. I hope that answered your question. It's actually the abbreviated version. I know it's hard to believe.
May I add just a little bit of theory out of this? In my particular case, a scenario that's a little different from what you described, where I live out close to St. Andrews, I did not have flood insurance. My insurance company went to the wrong house and tried to convince me that I did not know my own house by offering to pay for things that I did not have on my house. And when I tried to convince them they'd gone to the wrong house, they argued with me for 2 weeks. I'm tenacious. Unfortunately, my attorney is not presently able to practice law anymore. I sued my insurance company for lack of faith. Had my insurance company settled with me, written my house off at 100% to begin with, they would have come out about $250,000 ahead. I'm one of the few that beat the insurance company. Now, my only question is, here, why did my federal flood under FEMA go up from $243, which is now required, to $1,203 when I should have been grandfathered back in under the old
number one, if you'll put that in writing, we will get you an answer in writing from the National Flood Insurance Plan. Let me tell you what I think is happening. Number one, they used to look at flooding as if it was coming from inland going out. Most flooding was based on what's a lot of rain going to do to your area. And quite honestly, I was at 14 feet elevation right on the Bay of St. Louis, and I was not in what they call the V zone back then. I believe I am now. One of the things that's come of all this is they've done very extensive mapping, not perfect mapping, but extensive mapping. Remember, insurance is supposed to be risk-based. And they are determining, again, based on something like that happening again, and it probably will, maybe not in our lifetimes, I'll pray not in our lifetimes, but it probably will at some point. What do we do? And which is why I've had absolutely no problem building my house up on pylons this time. I don't want to go through it again, if I can help it. But it is risk-based, and I can also tell you, I know $1,200 sounds like a lot, it is a lot. Compared to wind insurance, it's still a bargain. It's still a bargain. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Taylor?
Lots of people have a question, ma'am. Yes, sir.
My question is...
Ma'am, I'm not going to recognize you because rudeness doesn't count. Yes, sir.
I'm Jack Gerard from Ocean Springs. Maybe two cabinet questions about cabinet members. In the most recent terrorist attack we just had, Director of Homeland Security Janet Napolitano made a Michael Brown type statement.
She sure did.
The system worked just like it's supposed to. We had a guy that incinerated himself on
wouldn't happen to a nicer guy.
Hopefully you have some concern with her judgment in making those kind of comments, you know, with all of the others. And I guess the other, maybe not a question, a comment I have is some disappointment and concern with Secretary General and the dealing with the movement of our troops to Afghanistan. There was a lot of back and forth, almost blame on, is it McChrystal and the
Crystal is
as if Gates didn't know what was going on. Matter of fact, I believe he made a public comment that I wish the commanders would come to me rather than publicly make statements about their concerns with troop levels and troop support. Yet my understanding is his office is tied in almost daily to those telecoms that tie into Afghanistan and Iraq. That's some serious concern that, and I know he's a far cry from the man we had in there before, but he's got some issues. Really have some concerns with his leadership as well.
I'll take them in the order. Senator Napolitano has come against adding wind insurance to the National Flood Insurance Plan. I am no fan of her. She is no fan of mine. And you're exactly right. That was a Michael Brown moment. It was a dumb thing for her to say. Obviously, the system didn't work if that guy got on the plane, period. We spent an enormous sum of money, billions, after 9/11, because we realized the different agencies were not sharing the information. The whole creation of the Department of Homeland Security was supposed to enable these people to share information. That should never have happened. And for her to just try to gloss over like nothing bad happened, I'm with you. And I would hope that she would be replaced. Start with her. Second one is, you're exactly right. Secretary Gates is a heck of a, in my estimation, if I was entitled to their opinion, even me, Secretary Gates is a heck of a lot better Secretary of Defense than Don Rumsfeld. Secretary Gates, one of the my dealings with him, you know, Rumsfeld kept trying to pretend that the casualties would go away in Iraq. When we wanted to up-armor the Humvees, he really fought us. When we wanted to put jammers on the Humvees, he literally fought us. When we wanted to build the mine-resistant vehicles, my very first hearing as chairman of Seapower, January 2 years ago right now, 3 years ago right now, they had only ordered 5,000. We had a hearing. Hey, I want to give every commander every day the opportunity to decide, do you want to take Humvees for your mission, do you want to take mine-resistant vehicles? The very next day, and this is bragging on Gates, the very next day, he said, you know what? It's going to be 17,000. I'm not going to order 5,000 of them. I'm going to get 17,000. He listens. Rumsfeld never would have done that. We're now up to 24,000 in the pipeline, for what it's worth. But you're exactly right. And one of the ironies is, there's some things that everybody likes about McChrystal. There's some things that people don't like about McChrystal. When McChrystal said, I need more troops, everybody says, why aren't you listening to the regional commander, the combatant commander? When McChrystal also says, if there's civilians around, don't shoot, everybody goes, wait a minute, Washington did that. No, McChrystal said that. So again, there's probably some things that you agree with about it, some things you don't agree with, but I tell you what, that guy has forgotten more about counterinsurgency than I'll ever know. I'm talking about McChrystal. And so if he says that's what we need to be doing, and he's got that job, I'm going to support him every way I can. But overall, I think Gates has done a good job. I can really count on less than 2 hands the appointees of this president that I really like. I like Gates. I like Ray Davis. I thought bringing John McHugh, the Republican, over was a good idea. I thought bringing Ray LaHood over was a good idea. I thought bringing Eric Shikseki over as veterans was a great idea. And the list gets real short after that. Yes, sir.